Okay, gather around everyone. Welcome back to another explainer. Now, usually we're breaking down data or tackling complex scientific concepts together, but today, today we are looking at something kind of different. We're dissecting a deeply unsettling account to really trace the anatomy of a true midnight terror. So, consider this our own little digital campfire story. Let's just dive right into this, but you might want to pull your blankets up a little tighter for this one.
So, what exactly wakes you up at 3 a.m.? You know the feeling, right? There's this very specific vulnerability we all share when we're just half asleep in the dead of night. Your guard is completely down, the world outside is dead silent, and all your daytime logic just kind of starts to fade away when you're isolated in the dark. The shadows in your room feel, I don't know, just a little bit heavier. And it's in this exact, super disorienting state that our source material begins, capturing a narrator who is abruptly pulled from sleep straight into creeping panic.
Section 1, the 3:03 a.m. message. All right. So picture this. It is exactly 3:03 a.m., and the narrator's phone vibrates right beside their bed. Now, imagine that initial feeling. You're mostly asleep, so honestly, you're probably just annoyed. I mean, nobody messages you that late, right? But as the narrator actually checks their phone, that annoyance quickly curdles into this tight knot of unease in their stomach. They've got a new voice message. It's from an unknown number. There's no profile picture attached to it, no name, no nothing. Just a blank, completely anonymous intrusion into their most private space in the middle of the night.
11. The audio file attached to that anonymous message was exactly 11 seconds long. That's it, just a tiny fragment of time. Yet, the narrator actually notes that for some totally inexplicable reason, they felt this deep, nervous sensation before they even pressed play, like their gut was warning them. But, well, human nature being what it is, curiosity won out over caution. They tapped the file, and they listened.
For the first few seconds, there is literally only static. Then, the static slowly gives way to breathing. But actually, scratch that. It wasn't normal breathing. It was this heavy, slow, wet breathing. It's the sickening, completely congested sound of lungs just struggling right next to the microphone. It's the kind of pure auditory horror that instantly makes your skin crawl. And finally, culminating right at the end of those 11 seconds, a whisper says, "Check under your bed." The source text notes that the voice sounded just fundamentally wrong. It didn't sound human at all. It sounded almost like several different voices layered together, all speaking at the exact same time.
Section 2. Scratching in the dark. Initially, the narrator does what any of us would do. They try to rationalize it. They laugh nervously, lock their phone, and try to convince themselves it's just some stupid, elaborate prank. But a few seconds later, the bed shakes. Slightly. Just once. It felt exactly as if something heavy underneath the mattress had just shifted its weight. The narrator freezes immediately. Their heart is absolutely pounding in their chest. They're holding their breath, just staring out into the unyielding darkness of the bedroom, desperately trying to listen. And for an agonizing moment, there is only silence.
But of course, the silence doesn't last. Suddenly, a new sound breaks the quiet of the room. Scratch. Scratch. Something is dragging slowly across the floorboards, and it is happening right beneath where the narrator is sitting. At this point, their blood runs completely cold. This isn't just an abstract fear of a creepy text message anymore. It has just become a tangible, moving threat occupying their exact physical space.
In just 120 seconds, annoyance becomes absolute terror. Look at how terrifyingly rapid this escalation is. We go from a bizarre phone vibration at 3:03 a.m. straight to the physical shaking of the bed at 3:04 a.m., and then, at 3:05 a.m., the scratching suddenly stops. But the silence is immediately broken because the phone buzzes again. A second voice message has arrived. Panic is fully 100% setting in now.
The second message is just painfully, bluntly direct. I said, look under the bed. The narrator's hands are visibly shaking at this point. Their breathing is shallow and terrified. Literally every survival instinct screaming in their brain is telling them absolutely do not look down there. But there's this desperate need to know what they're dealing with, right? Like, what if someone broke in? What if it's just a trapped animal? That not knowing forces their hand. They simply cannot stop thinking about it.
Section 3. The flashlight fails.
Slowly, honestly, agonizingly slowly, the narrator leans down beside the edge of the bed. They grab their phone's flashlight and aim the beam right into the deep darkness underneath the frame. And what do they see? Nothing. Literally just old boxes and dust. For a split second, this massive, intense wave of relief washes over them. A deceptive, heavy sigh escapes their lips. The space is completely empty. Normal. But then,
The flashlight flickers, and in that fraction of a second, the light catches something hidden deep in the shadows. The narrator sees a face. The source text describes it with this really chilling precision: pale skin, wide black eyes, and a smile that was simply way too big to be human. Confronted with this horrific climax, a raw, totally involuntary scream rips from the narrator's throat. They recoil violently backward in pure terror, and the phone is knocked directly from their trembling hands right onto the bedroom floor.
And the exact instant the phone hits the floor, the light dies. The sudden, pitch-black darkness hits the narrator like a physical blow. It is suffocating. Now, this taps directly into the primal horror of nyctophobia. It's the absolute paralyzing terror of knowing exactly what monstrous thing is in the room with you, but being entirely robbed of your ability to track it because you can't see a thing.
Section 4. Your own voice.
Out of nowhere, in the pitch black, the narrator hears movement again. But listen, it's no longer that slow, dragging scratch from before. It is fast movement, crawling, completely frantic, and happening right beneath them. They are desperately trying to get the flashlight to turn back on, but it just won't work. And then, slicing right through the dark, comes another whisper from under the bed. Don't look away. But here's the true psychological horror of this moment. The entity is no longer speaking in that layered, weird, unnatural tone. No, it is whispering in the narrator's exact own voice. It's copying them perfectly. The narrator is essentially sitting there, hearing their own ghost speak to them in real time.
Tears filled my eyes. This simple little line from our source material really speaks volumes. The narrator is experiencing total physical helplessness. They're just completely paralyzed on top of the mattress. Their only source of light is broken, and now the thing lurking beneath them has literally stolen their very voice. It is a feeling of utter, inescapable dread.
Section 5. Check under your bed.
As the narrator sits there completely paralyzed, the dropped phone illuminates the floor one final time. It buzzes. A new photo is received. The narrator stares, totally frozen at the cracked, glowing screen. They're looking at a picture of themselves sitting terrified on the bed, and the photo was taken from underneath. And creeping right into the corner of the frame, reaching slowly upward toward their face, is a pale hand.
You know, the crucial point of exploring a narrative like this explainer today is to really understand how fear is constructed. From a simple, unknown text to the sudden removal of light, straight to the invasion of our safest, most private spaces. We've dissected the anatomy of this terror together. But before we wrap things up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Tonight, when you turn off the lights and you're lying there in the quiet dark of your own room, who is under your bed right now? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. Stay curious and sleep tight.